All right, let's get this kicked off. Welcome everybody to our June community meeting. Very good to see you here. For today's meeting, we are going to be, as usual, starting with community celebration and some announcements. Then product roadmap updates from Anna Barr, Senior Product Manager at GX. Then after that, we'll get an update about agent versioning and release process from Anthony Birdie, Senior Software Engineer here at GX. Then we will watch a batch definition demo from Allison Harada, Senior Product Manager here at GX. And then we will hear from Jose Tobar, Senior Software Engineer, who will be demoing GX Cloud Slack alerts. Then Josh Zhang, Director of Developer Relations, will show off the new expectations gallery. And then finally, we'll be wrapping up by hearing about upcoming workshops from Rachel House, who is a Senior Developer Advocate here, and you'll get some closing notes from me. So that is what you have to look forward to. And I will start with the community celebration. As we dive into before we dive into the meeting agenda, I always really like to take a moment to just recognize the individuals in our community who have taken extra steps to support other members of the community over the past couple months since our last community meeting. Everyone on this list has given their time and effort to answering questions and working with community members to provide valuable assistance to those in need. I'd like to give a special mention to Toivo, who answered a lot of questions, was really responding to people in discourse and helping people troubleshoot quite a bit in the past couple months. So thank you so much to Toivo and to everybody else. Also, I just wanted to recognize our champions. So this is not a new program. About 6 months ago, we launched a champions program and wanted to take a moment to recognize them once again. So if you're not familiar with what this is, so you might be wondering what does this mean? Who are the champions? So the champions do not work at Great Expectations. They are, however, just users who are more heavily involved in various facets of the community. And they're not more involved in various facets of the community because they're champions, but rather we recognize that they were already very involved and brought them into the champions program because of what they were already doing. So some of the ways that they're more involved in the community is answering questions from other community members, contributing to the GX code base or documentation, creating or sharing GX content, and providing in-depth feedback on GX Cloud or OSS. So thank you so much to these folks. And if you're curious to know more about what this is, you can go to the link here and find out more. greatexpectations.io/champions. Okay. And with that, I will hand things over to Anna.
Thanks, Molly. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna. I'm a product manager at GX, and I'm here to speak a little bit about some things that we've released over the last 2 months since our last community meetup, and things that I'm excited that we are about to release in the next 2 or 3 months before our next community meetup. So I'll talk a little bit about each of these items here. Slack Actions in GX Cloud. Very excited about this, a really critical component of your expectation monitoring systems. So this allows you to be alerted immediately if your data becomes corrupted in any way, if any of your expectations are failing, and also, if they're succeeding as well. We have alerting set up for Slack Actions as well. And you used to have to just set this up via API. We now have a component in the Cloud UI where you can create and edit your Slack integrations across all your data assets and your checkpoints. And Jose will be doing a demo of this shortly. Moving batches to the expectation. So this and the ones below are really about quality of life improvements in GX Cloud. So moving the place where you're defining your batch for an asset a little bit closer to where you're setting up an expectation is an important sort of shift in the way we're thinking about the domain model in cloud. We've moved it from the moment where you are actually adding an asset in a data source to the expectation drawer, where you set it once for your data asset and then it gets applied automatically to all following expectations that you're adding to that asset. So this is sort of moving us more towards the model where you're thinking about the window of data that you're validating closer to the point where you're setting up the expectations and the parameters on those windows. So hopefully a much closer line to where you're actually wanting to be thinking about batches. And Allison is going to be showing a demo from one of our engineers, Lily, of that feature as well, which should be coming, I think, available in cloud later this week, by the end of this week. Required test connection. This is a feature that was optional before that we've now made required as part of your data source creation flow. So this makes it really easy to tell early on in your cloud journey whether your data source credentials are correct. Not having it be required before meant that a lot of folks were getting all the way to the point where they're validating expectations and then realizing that their account identifier wasn't quite right for their data source, or that they hadn't granted GX the right permissions to the tables that they were trying to validate. And so we're trying to shift all of that up so that you know right away when your connection credentials are correct or not, so that then we can unlock the rest of the user experience for you. So it's a small one, but it's an important one. And then we have improved agent release and versioning process. So with more usage of GX agents as the preferred deployment mechanism of GX Cloud, it's been important for us to think about the experience of upgrading the agent for folks and making sure that that is regular and consistent. So we've added more robust tagging and about weekly releases of the agent to our process to hopefully provide more of a predictable experience with GX Cloud. And Anthony will go into a little bit more detail in a minute on that. Okay, so coming soon, more expectations in GX Cloud. So we have a pretty short list of expectations, our most popular expectations available for setting up in cloud today. I believe there are 13 of them. We are going up to 47. So lots of things that maybe are your secondary use cases with GX Cloud, like expecting table row counts to equal another field in another table, or expecting column counts to be compound columns to be unique, or getting into KL divergence, things like that, that become more important as you're getting deeper into expectations will all become available in GX Cloud over the next couple of weeks. So that'll be a big life improvement there. Email alerts, again, leaning into notifications and alerting as a primary function of GX Cloud, making sure that we have the systems in place to hook up the email addresses associated with your accounts in GX Cloud to alerts, so that not only are you getting your Slack actions notifying you when things go wrong, you're also getting the right people involved via email, so that you can make sure to fine tune the way that your team and your organization is getting alerted on these data quality issues. Table introspection is an optimization on the data asset creation flow. So right now you are typing in your asset names as part of your data source data asset create flow. We are now reaching out into your data source and pulling a list of assets that are available once we've confirmed that your data source connection credentials are working, so that then you can just do a very simple clicking checkboxes rather than typing in the names of the tables. So this will be a much smoother process for getting set up with your data assets that you care about testing in GX Cloud. Scheduling, this one we've had a lot of requests for. So this really will enable you to sort of complete the cycle in GX Cloud of getting your expectations up and running and on a regular basis. So rather than having to go out to an Airflow or your own custom orchestrator to get your validations running on a regular basis, we will be introducing a very simple kind of cron scheduler in the application that allows you to create an expectation, set it to run every 24 hours from within the app, and then just get going on your data quality framework and make sure that you are getting alerted on these things as you continue to build out sort of your more robust system. Cloud only deployment. This one will be coming a little bit later, probably in the next 3-ish months. So this is an alternative to the agent deploy method. So rather than installing this piece of software on your own machine and getting that deployed in your cloud infrastructure, we are going to be offering a hosted version of that agent, essentially, where you come into cloud, you go directly into creating your data source, and then we're reaching out and creating that cloud to cloud connection for you so that you don't have to manage all of that infrastructure internally. This is not going to replace the agent path for getting set up with GX Cloud. We know that high security teams definitely still require things like agents in order to make sure that data isn't leaving their environment. But this cloud only deployment will be a great option for folks that are maybe interested in just getting started testing GX with sample data or less production ready data sets, so that you can ensure that you're getting value out of it before, again, sort of scaling up from there. And then the last thing here is simplifying the GX Cloud domain model. Again, like very closely related to all of these other features that you're seeing on this slide is how do we make the experience of using cloud as straightforward as possible? How do we get you to the moment where you're seeing business value as quickly as possible? And so we are working through internally right now some ways for us to simplify the experience of using GX Cloud, really narrow down the user journeys so that we can make sure we are introducing the right concepts at the right time and enabling your success and the success of your team members. And so there will be more information to come on simplifying the cloud domain model, but I'm really looking forward to that piece of work as well. That's all for
right.
me. There's a lot
Just
there.
had to find my unmute. Thank you so much, Anna, for that thorough update. Very exciting stuff coming up. Okay. So now I'm going to pass this on to Anthony, who's going to talk about agent versioning and release process.
Sure. Thanks, Molly.
Mhm.
Yeah, so just a real quick update on this, and I kind of went through high level. So we're just sort of standardizing, clarifying things, not a huge major change to what we've been doing, mainly around improving the tooling, the docs, making things more consistent. So I guess the most major change is the one at the top there. We're using date-based versioning, where previously we were doing just an incrementing number. Now we're tagging to the date. So we're still incrementing, but at least now you have a sense of when the release was. So you'll see that the .0 on the end there is just in case we have multiple releases throughout the day. You'll see maybe a .dev if it's a pre-release as well. So yeah, now we have a couple more tags as Anna was alluding to. Stable tag is what we recommend you use. That's what we have in our documentation examples. That's what we're going to make sure is tagged to the latest official release. We also have a couple of other tags. So dev includes pre-releases. If you're interested in staying on the bleeding edge, you can tag to dev. And then latest, currently the same as stable. Latest is what happens if you install without specifying a tag. But like I said, we recommend installing from the stable tag. But that's available just in case we need to diverge those later. And then yeah, we continue to support. We have a tag for every version that goes out. If you take a look at the Docker Hub tags link that's on the last bullet there, you can see all of the tags. And yeah, exactly. So that link that Nevin just sent out, as well as that first link down there that deploy GX agent instructions. Also, yeah, as Anna alluded to, we're aiming for weekly releases. We're planning to do a release today, and yeah, aligning with 18 core release. And yeah, like I said, we improved the internal tooling. probably won't need to interact with that at all, but that's just to help standardize and automate things to make the process really consistent for us internally. Great. So yeah, that's our new agent versioning and release process.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anthony.
Thanks, Molly.
Okay. Now for the move batch definition demo, Allison, I know there's this video, which I'm now just realizing I might need to change how I'm sharing to make sure the sound comes through. Do you have any sort of intro or anything you wanted to say before? Or does maybe the demo speaks for itself?
I think the demo speaks for itself. Just to
Okay, cool.
echo, yeah, what Anna has mentioned, update that we did on Cloud UI to make sure that we just have a better, more consistent experience with creating and defining batches in Cloud. So yeah, that.
All righty.
Video.
So I should have the thing clicked to make sure that the sound comes through. Please let me know if it doesn't. And
hi everyone. Today I'll be demoing an update to when you define batches in GX Cloud UI. So I set up my data asset here. It's from a Postgres data source. It could be a Snowflake data source. Previously, you have to define which column you decide to batch your data before you see the columns in GX Cloud. But now we're moving to a much more coherent experience where you will be able to set the batch after you see the columns and at the time when you create your first expectation. So let's create our first expectation here. Pick up one here. And then as you see in this little info box, you'll be able to define the batch interval at this point. You can decide between entire table, yearly, monthly, or daily. If you have a time, a datetime column. So in this case, I do have a datetime column called date. And I'll set it for daily. And I can set up my own expectation, thinking about how I'm going to batch it. So I'll save it. And then now I can validate my expectation against whatever batch I decide. Just pick a specific date here. And there you go. And there you go. Now I'm able to set up batches. If I go back to overview, you can see that this data asset is set up with a batch interval of daily in the batch column of date. So now batches are defined at the time you set up expectations, at the time when you have columns, the column names and column types available to you. And so it's a much more coherent experience. All right. Thank you.
You speak on mute, Molly.
thank you. There's some background here, so I was worried about it. I hope it's not coming through too bad. But anyway, thank you for that demo, Allison. And now we're going to pass on to Jose, who is going to also be doing the demo, this one on GX Cloud Slack alerts.
All right. Thank you, Molly. I believe you can see my screen.
Yes.
Looks good. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Jose Tovar. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a senior software engineer here at GX, working with the cloud team. And I'm really excited to introduce you to this new feature, like Anna mentioned, Slack alerts in cloud. So a really useful tool that is going to allow you to receive notifications for every time you run your expectations. And I'm going to show you two different approaches where you can receive all type of notifications for every time you run your expectations, or if you just want to see the ones that failed. So let me walk you through right here. So I had this asset I created, Toto's Pizza. It's my childhood favorite pizza joint. It's no longer, it's closed, but I remember it, keep it in my heart. And so I have some expectations here defined. And for this set of expectations, I've configured an alert. So as you can see here on the expectations or validations tab, we now have these alerts button. So if we go in here, I've already configured an alert. And so this means that every time I run this set of expectations against this asset, I'll receive a notification because it says show all, meaning regardless whether it passed or failed, I'll receive a Slack alert. So let me demo that for you. It's already enabled. So let's just go ahead and run by clicking on validate. I have my agent running. So we should be good to go. I did my preparations beforehand with the demo gods, and it worked. So we got a notification right here, and it says that for this checkpoint, which is the contract between the expectations and this asset, that run was successful. And it shows me the runtime, the asset name, expectation suite name, and it offers this link. So if I click on the link, it takes me to the result for this run. So pretty convenient and pretty straightforward. So this is the flow for this case where I have an alert configured for every time I run this set of expectations. So let me walk you through this other scenario. I have this other suite of expectations, but this time I want to receive only notifications if this fails. So I don't care if it passes, that means everything's going well. But if it fails, then I do want to be notified. So I want to walk you through from the beginning because I think it's important. The way we configure this alerts is through webhooks in using the API from Slack. So it's not pretty straightforward for somebody that doesn't do this every day. So I think it'll be valuable for you to see kind of how it goes from beginning to end. So I'm just going to give it a name and webhooks. I don't have a webhook, so I'm going to click here, manage alerts, and it takes me to the documentation. You can go over this documentation. It's available for everyone. It's pretty useful. It walks you through how to add, edit, or delete alerts. But right now I care about setting up a webhook. So we have this link over here. And it takes me to the Slack API documentation. So it's very detailed. Yeah, you can definitely go over it. But right now, all I know is I need to create a Slack app because I don't have one. So it gives me this button. So it's pretty convenient. And I click this. I want to create a new app. I already have some here, but I don't care about those. And there are a couple of options here, but I'm going to create it from scratch. So I just need to give it a name. I can do the same name, build runs, and it's asking me to select the workspace. So I will do that. And so far, so good. Again, a bunch of different options here for an app with the Slack API, but I care about webhooks. So I'm going to go to incoming webhooks and I'm going to turn this on, and I need to add a new webhook to this workspace. All right, I need a channel where I want to receive my notifications. I don't want to have the same one, so I'm going to add a new channel really quick. And again, just because I don't know what else to name it, I'm just going to say fail run and hit next. I'm just going to make this private. I don't think it'll pick it up from the list because I just created it. So I need to refresh this screen. There it is. So I select my channel, hit allow. And now it says that my app is listed and it gives me the URL that I need to set up my alert. So I'm going to copy that and go back to GX Cloud. And now I have my webhook. So I'm just going to paste it here. And for type, I am going to select failures because I only want to receive notifications if my runs fail. So I have that ready, hit save. Conveniently, I receive a notification that we tested the webhook and it's working. So that's great. Let's go ahead and run this expectations and see how it goes. So I hit validate again. And anytime now. There it goes. So this run failed and I received the notification as I was expected. This is how it's presented with the emoji that indicates that something went wrong. So again, I hit view results and it takes me to my failed expectations, to the runs, and I can see the expectation that failed and take the proper steps to address this. So in a nutshell, these are the two different flows. There's another flow where you can set up just notifications for successful runs, but it's pretty much the same steps. So this is Slack alerts in cloud.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jose. So we've got, a few demos today. It's very exciting. The next one will be coming from Josh Zhang, who will be showing off the new expectations gallery. Take it away, Josh.
Cool. Do you want me to share, Molly? I want to talk through a few slides first before I do the demo.
Oh, you put slides in here? Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that. 1 second. Okay. Share. Okay.
Great. Hello, everybody. Josh here. If you're seeing me for the first time, I lead DevRel here at Great Expectations. And I want to talk about the new gallery that we just launched last week. So some of you might have noticed that our expectation gallery got a facelift as of last week. And I'm here to kind of represent the work and talk about the reasons why we did them, what you should expect in the gallery now, and what you should expect for the gallery going forward. So let's start with the why. Why do we go back and do this work? So the original expectation gallery probably started about almost maybe over 3 years ago. It grew very quickly. You went up to basically over 300 expectations, and in a very short amount of time. And at the time, we're very focused on just addressing as many use cases as possible and adding as many expectations into the gallery as possible. And frankly, as a result, the quality really suffered. After that kind of explosive growth, over the coming year or two, we've heard a lot of feedback from the community, and a lot of it was around quality and ease of use. So examples were like, hey, it was really hard to find the right expectation to use for my use case. A lot of the docs were often incomplete or out of date. And then there were some expectations that were documented, and the other ones that were effectively not documented at all. We took contributions from the community. One of the reasons was we took contributions from the community around a lot of the expectations, and sometimes the contributors move on, and then there wasn't much of a maintenance strategy, so a lot of the expectations went out of date or simply were not documented anymore. Finally, the UI was very clunky. A lot of the search filter functions were simply not functional, and users had to manually scroll through the expectations to find the one they wanted. So yeah, if you can go to the next slide, Molly. So with the new expectation, we really want to address a lot of these issues. The initial focus is really on ease of use and the quality of documentation. So we've learned a lot over the past few years, just kind of supporting these expectations and the gallery. And we realized some of the concepts we initially introduced were not very useful. So we removed confusing concepts such as completeness and expectation level that weren't very useful for helping our users find the expectations they want. We now have also added a new search and filter. You can now search for expectations, with a search box, and then you can also filter for expectations by data source or data quality issues. So we think these are two of the most common and easiest ways for users to find the expectation they're looking for. Frankly, the one I'm the most excited about is that now all expectations come with brand new documentation. So now if you go into the gallery, you'll see that each expectation have complete docs on the arcs that they use, which was not the case in many of the previous expectations. Each expectation now has a usage example with how you would use it with a piece of sample data, and even giving examples on what a passing or a failing case of the expectation would look like. And finally, we also give you code samples in Python that you can copy and paste and now run in your IDE of choice. And finally, we had these various, before we had these concepts of levels of completeness. Some were maybe production ready, or some were not, some were in beta, and you just didn't quite know if these expectations will work. Well, now you know that these expectations will work because they're going to be maintained by Great Expectations, which means we will ensure that these expectations are compatible with their respective listed data sources, and they actually will be functional. And then let me quickly talk about what's coming up next, and then I'll do a quick demo and show you the gallery. So we initially launched with what we think are the most useful 47 expectations, along with 10 data sources. So all again maintained by Great Expectations. That is not the case if you go to the gallery today, but that will change basically later today or tomorrow. So right now, if you go to the gallery, we're hearing from community members saying, "Hey, we only see 2 data sources in there, and it's not as many as expectations as before." So the data sources right now, if you go in, you'll only see Postgres and Snowflake, but you'll see that you will go up to 10 data sources, most likely by the end of the day today. And right now, if you go in, you'll see that there's probably about 34 expectations, but we'll go up to 47 also by either end of the day today or tomorrow at the latest. We'll also continue to add expectations, but this time around, we're not going to just maybe add every single suggested expectation. We're going to add them a lot more thoughtfully. For one, we're going to have a much higher standard and bar standard of quality for what makes into the gallery. And I think we'll also be more thoughtful about how we add these in without overwhelming the user or distracting user from finding the most useful expectations. Again, we'll likely reopen the process of contribution. So we'll also go back to allowing the community to also contribute expectations to the gallery. But we're going to have, again, we're going to hold it to a much higher standard, and we'll have to do that again very thoughtfully. So there's no definite timeline on when we'll reopen the process for contribution. But certainly we're leaning that way to reopen it again. Finally, you can still find the legacy gallery on our site. So if you go to the bottom of the gallery, we'll continue to host the legacy gallery. If you're still on an older version of Great Expectations, you can still use them with the older gallery. However, we'll no longer support these expectations. And as we move to 1.0, we can't, since we're not going to support these expectations, unless the expectation is in the new gallery, there's no expectation, or we can't guarantee that any expectations will work with 1.0. It is our intention that everyone should move to the new gallery, move to 1.0 and use the new expectations. We think it's a much better experience, both kind of initially for learning about using expectations and for ongoing production use cases. Cool. So I will take questions, but let me first just quickly do a walkthrough of the expectations, of the expectation gallery. All right. Do y'all see my browser?
Yeah, I can see it.
Great. So let's say we start at the gallery website. You can get to it many ways, but one way is simply go to resources and expectation gallery. So now you'll see that it's a much kind of cleaner look. There are effectively 3 ways for you to find the expectations you want. You can either filter by data source. So right now you only see Postgres and Snowflake. But again, by the end of the day today, you'll see 8 more additional ones going up to 10. You can also sort by what we think are the most common data quality issues, such as missingness. So these will check for missing data, or schema. So these will expectations that ensures the schema of your data is as you expect. And you can exit out of these, and then you can also do search, right? So you can search for a min or maybe hair. So that will do an effective real-time filter on both the title. We also filter for what's in the description. When you find something that kind of interests you, you can take a look, maybe a preview to quickly see, what the description of the expectation is, what are the args, and then if like what you see, you can hit see more, and then you'll get into kind of more of the detailed page where we talk about the data sources they maintain. The data sources that the expectations are compatible with. You'll see the args. And then we actually show you, right, what an example data will look like and how you will use this expectation on this sample data, and show you what a passing case, a successful expectation a use case will look like, or what a failed one, right? So so how would you use it if to check if something meets the expectation or fails to meet the expectation? Some of these expectations, let's say if we go to one of these, we'll also show you, we'll have kind of additional notes or related expectations that you might want to use. If you see one you like, I would suggest either just simply copying the code and then put it into whatever workflow you're doing, and you're off and running. You'll also notice that most of these expectations will also be compatible with GX Cloud. So if you feel like, hey, right, the Python use case using the API is not right for you, you'll also be able to find most of these expectations in GX Cloud, which Anna alluded to earlier. That is coming down the pipe very quickly. Okay, let me stop there and see if there are any questions.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Got it.
I'm going to go ahead and push on, but if people do have questions about that, I can loop back, well, that or anything else. We can loop back to see what those questions are. You can also feel free to post them in the chat so that we're aware and can make sure to try to answer them. Or some might be able to answer them in the chat. Okay, so we're kind of getting to that point in the meeting where it is, there's some like final announcements. And first of all, we'll start off with Rachel is going to talk a bit about the upcoming GX workshops.
Yes, thank you, Molly.
Mhm.
So hi, everyone. I'd like to give a shout out to the GX Cloud workshops that we're currently running. Our workshops cover the basics of using GX Cloud to validate one of our currently supported data sources. So right now that is either Postgres or Snowflake. We hold 2 workshops a month, and you can see the dates for upcoming June and July workshops here on the screen. And workshops tend to run about an hour, and currently we are holding them at 12 p.m. US Eastern Time. In our workshops, we interactively walk you through setting up your data source in GX Cloud, creating expectations, and then validating your data source with those expectations. So if you've been interested in GX Cloud, the workshops are a really great introduction to working with GX Cloud. We've designed them to be hands-on participation, so we highly encourage you to attend and participate. And over time, we hope to expand our GX Cloud workshop offerings to include more advanced and targeted topics, and we'll continue to keep you all informed about any new workshops that we make available. So as you can see, our next workshop is getting started with GX Cloud and Snowflake next Tuesday, and we hope to see you there. And that's all I had today. So say back to you,
Awesome.
Molly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rachel.
Mhm.
Awesome. And all right, so just some final closing announcements are, I always like to just showcase that we have an open role in case anyone who's here is interested, hiring for senior software engineer at GX. So if this sounds something that'd be exciting for you, we'd love to hear from you. And on the note of jobs that are related to GX, I have recently set up an alert that means that I will find out about new job postings that include Great Expectations in the listing. So my plan is to experiment with sharing out those listings on a regular basis so that y'all can be alerted of jobs in which the use of GX is part of the job description or part of the role. So this will be happening both in Slack and in Discourse. So for example, you can see some recent posts here in the job board channel. And then additionally, with Discourse, I've started creating monthly posts that include these roles. So it has a link out to the role, company role, and location. And I'll just go back. Yeah, so my hope here is that it'll be a resource for community members who are looking for their next thing. Okay. Additionally, this is just a reminder that if you want to start getting yourself migrated over to 1.0, you can install the pre-release with pip install pre Great Expectations. And related to that, I updated this slide and I'm going to here we go. Yeah. So, we also created some GX 1.0 channels. So yeah, they are to act as spaces for sharing feedback and asking for support related to 1.0. In Slack, that is GX 1.0. I mean, it's right here. It's kind of long, but GX 1.0 feedback and support. In Discourse, I have the link here, which I think it's also been posted in chat. And both of these are linked together via the Slack Discourse integration. So if something is posted in Discourse, it'll make its way to Slack. Doesn't automatically go the other way around, but yeah. So join us if you're trying it out. And then additionally, just in general around 1.0, we are very eager to hear from people and support people who are starting that migration process early. now to 1.0. So if this is true of you, please feel free to reach out to me, Molly Pettit, on the Slack or in the discourse. And I can link you to folks who are very interested to chat. So reach out. Okay. Oh, also, this is just an update that this has been mentioned in the Slack as well, but the community meeting cadence used to be monthly. It is going forward going to be about every 2 to 3 months. We'll try to make sure there's always the next one on the calendar, and it'll be updated in the various community spaces. By having less meetings, we can make sure a slightly less cadence, that we really are able to pack these full of really great information for you all. And yeah, so we look forward to seeing you at future ones. And you can find that, I did not put the link here, but I'll put it in chat right now, which is, if you go to greatexpectations.io/meetup, that's where you can click to subscribe to the calendar. So then it'll add all the upcoming events to your calendar, and it'll keep you up to date. All right, some final closing announcements. Just a kind of shout out that if you haven't tried GX Cloud yet, you can do so for free at app.greatexpectations.io. And Rachel already gave kind of a longer presentation on the workshops. You can go to this link that also posted in the chat, where you can sign up for any of the upcoming workshops. And I think we have 3 listed right now, but those will we keep adding those as time goes on. So keep checking back, even if something doesn't work for you right now. Oh yeah, I think this was out of date. Apologies, that date is not right. The April 17th date. I must have grabbed this from the last community meeting. My bad. Okay. Feedback. We always want to hear your feedback, so please reach out to us anytime. You can find us on Discourse, on Slack, and there's this product feedback at greatexpectations.io email that you can reach out to. Follow the GX community calendar, which I mentioned, greatexpectations.io/meetup. And if you want to contribute to future community meetings, then please reach out to me. We love highlighting community members at these meetups when we have a chance. We haven't had that chance recently, but in the past, it's always been really fun to have people on kind of talking about their use case or something cool that they've done with GX. So please reach out, or also reach out if you put out any content related to GX, whether it's an article or a talk or anything. Let me know. Okay, that is all I had. For the folks that are here, are there any? This is not a time for like support, but if there are questions related to anything that we've talked about, then we could answer them now. Okay. I didn't see anything in the chat, so I'll take that as no questions for now. We will be posting this video also online, so if you joined late or missed anything or want to see something again, you'll have that opportunity. Once that's posted, I'll share it both in Slack and in Discourse, so you can keep an eye out there. And thank you, everybody, for joining. And thank you, everybody, for presenting. Bye, y'all.